Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Grow Folds, and today we'll be grocery store plant shopping at the Sprouts off of McKinney, Texas. It is right on Custer Road. As always, please make sure you are hitting that like button as well as following me on Instagram at Grow Folds. That is the fastest way to get in touch with me directly, and also subscribing to my YouTube channel with the notification bell on. So I am just going late afternoon, early evening just to see what this Sprouts grocery store has. Now, Sprouts is a local grocery store chain in the North Dallas area. And for my new viewers, I am based out in North Dallas. So you'll see plenty of plant content from all of the Dallas-Fort Worth videos. I also call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. Welcome to the channel if this is your first time seeing my plant shopping videos. I just recently got back from a vacation to the Philippines, a 2-week vacation, and I'm super excited to be back making some brand new content here. So we're just going to enter here and see what type of plants they have. I will say with Sprouts grocery store, they have some amazing prices. So just like I suspected, they have all of their plants here for 50% off. So this large alocasia is only $7.99. So I think that is such a good deal here. So we're going to see what other plants they have available indoors. So this will be a super short clip because I don't really have as many plants to feature. But as you can see here, they've got a bunch of Kalia lilies. But as you can see here, they definitely have some healthy savings. So these plants are literally 50% off. So you'll save it $6.50 on these plants. So these are originally like $12 or somewhere around that range. Philodendron, Summer Glory, super excited to find this. Now, this is an urban jungle plant, only for $6.49. And you can see they've got a bunch of beautiful, is this live trends or urban jungle? Let me just take a look. So this is Epipremnum aureum. Enjoy. So I really like that a lot. And this is a hanging ceramic basket for only $6.49. So you'll save another $6.50. So definitely a 50% price difference, 50% off price difference. We've got an Epipremnum aureum neon pothos. With any pothos plant growing in a ceramic planter like this, these are easy to grow. They are low light tolerant plants. And they're just beginner plants. I really like that a lot. So it looks like these are urban jungle planters. So you can see right here, this is another Philodendron heteroraceum Brazil. Now this is also for $6.49. And I think that is a really good price considering if you buy this at like Lowe's, you will find them for a much more expensive price. I think they're in the $16 range. So that's the reason why I like showing you plant shopping videos even at grocery stores. Normally you wouldn't think to go to a grocery store to go plant shopping, but like even this one right here, this Live Trends beautiful calathea, $6.49 again for some of these beautiful plants. I'm thinking of picking up this one right here. This is another Alocasia Dragon Scale for $6.49. I really do like the Live Trends planter that it's in, and it is a fairly healthy looking Alocasia. Now I haven't had the best luck with Alocasia, but if it is on sale, I'll go ahead and take the risk for that. And you can see right over here, this is a Ficus Shivriana on sale for $9.99 in a beautiful planter, really nice stable variegation. Now I did see Ficus Shivriana at Trader Joe's a couple days ago. I just didn't get a time to film it, and they also have those on sale, but I keep going back to this. I may end up just getting some more of these plants like this one right here. It's kind of stuck. It's also for $6.49. This is a Scindapsus Silver Ann. I think I'm going to go ahead and get a Scindapsus Silver Ann just because I don't really have any Scindapsus in my plant collection, and I figured maybe I can start over and actually put this plant. Now, the previous video, I talked about doing a no plant buy. Well, you know, that kind of just gets thrown out when you find really good plant pricing like this. Like, look at this beautiful ceramic hanging basket for $6.49. This is a Philodendron Brantianum. I really love the look of Philodendron Brantianum. It is a little bit more of a finicky plant when you compare it to other Philodendron, just because it does need a little bit more humidity. But as you can see right here, we also have a bunch of Phalaenopsis orchids on sale for $9.99. So I have one Phalaenopsis orchid. It is no longer in bloom. It is a variegated plant. And now we're going to go big box store plant shopping at Lowe's. Now this Lowe's location is off of Highway 121 off of Custer Road in McKinney, Texas. So Southwest McKinney. Really like going to this Lowe's. I haven't been since I got back from my vacation in the Philippines. So I'm just gonna walk the exterior spot right here. And as you enter here, it's really interesting that they usually have like a plant set up, and they've already got their Halloween focal point ready to go. So this is kind of interesting that they have all of these Halloween themed decorations. You can see right here, we do have a bunch of ferns and some outdoor plants. I'm not sure what that particular plant is. It looks like some type of creeping fig, but we've got a bunch of like Boston fern and also a Dracaena, but I thought that was interesting. We'll go back outside and just kind of take a look at the garden center. So what I do like about Lowe's and just going big box or plant shopping is Lowe's typically has some amazing outdoor plants. Now plant foldies, if you are a lover of plants, I love to feature different types of plants, whether it's indoor tropical plants, which is what the majority of our plant foldies like, but I also like to show gardening plants, landscaping plants, just plants for the outdoors, because I am a plant lover, whether it's outdoors, indoors, terrariums, bonsai, container gardening, all of it. I just love it. So as you can see here, they've got some banana tree plants right here. A lot of the outdoor plants I've noticed though at big box stores have started to condense down. You don't see nearly as much of a selection for the plants, at least the outdoor plants for the summertime. I don't know if it's because of the heat that we've been receiving out in North Dallas. And that's the thing about my grow zone. It is 8B and it just gets extremely hot in Dallas. Like we can get close to 100-degree weather. So some of these plants, you have to really find some hardy, drought tolerant plants. Now you can see right here, we've got a bunch of hanging baskets of mandevilla flowers. The thing about mandevilla flowers, and I talk about this in a lot of my plant shopping videos, is it is a tropical blooming plant. Unfortunately, for like a grow zone like mine, they will not survive the winter, and it's really challenging to actually bring them indoors because they require quite a bit of light. So that's really the challenge of some of the tropical plants that we will see more so during the summertime. I guess you would call them annual plants in my grow zone. So basically annual plants are meant to grow just for one growing season, and then they die off in the winter time when, you know, the weather starts to get super cold. But you can see I did show you a little bit of some succulents. That was some beautiful chryssala or jade plants. And then we have some Texas type shrubs that they specialize in as well for the Texas weather. And we still have tons of mandevilla flowers. Now they were more so in bloom a couple of weeks back. But you can see here, they've also got some crotons, and I have a soft spot for crotons because I've seen the full potential of a croton. You can see the beautiful yellow and orange foliage on this croton right here. This one is for $16.98. This is a croton petra, and it's one of the most common crotons. Now, after going to the Philippines, which is where my family is originally from, seeing these crotons grow into the natural wild, like you can literally see a bunch of crotons growing out in the landscape, in the side of the road. There's just a bunch of them, and they don't really require a lot of plant care. They just grow with the weather. You know, the Philippines is a tropical, humid environment, and so I always thought that, you know, crotons, they're just really finicky plants. The reason why is because they do need lots of bright indirect light if they're grown indoors. I honestly think crotons cannot really grow indoors long term, and it's just a whole ordeal. So that's the reason why I plant foldies after going on vacation to the Philippines. It's just really nice to be able to look back at some of these plants and really see what type of environment they need. So like this Alamada plant for $22.98, or yellow bell plant. It's another plant I actually saw overseas in the Philippines. They grow massive, and I do love the yellow flowers. Now plant foldies, let me know in the comments section if you like yellow blooms, white blooms. Again, I love getting comments in the comments section, and I will say from the last 2 live premieres we had quite a bit of people watching simultaneously. So let's continue that plant party. I hope everybody is enjoying their Tuesday evening as this plant video premieres. And if you did miss a live premiere, I typically premiere my videos now at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I try to do them daily. Sometimes life gets in the way, but just know that I am very busy filming just because I am so excited to get you guys some new plant content. And in plant foliage, you can see right here, this Lowe's does have some new succulents and cactus. Now, these are by Oasis Plants, and Oasis Plants tends to source out a lot of the succulents and cactus to big box stores like Lowe's. Lowe's does have quite a bit of succulents and cactus. You know, I mentioned this in all my videos. I do want to get into cactus and succulents. There are some really unique varieties. I am excited to be going to PlantCon 2024 in Dallas. So if you haven't already bought your tickets, Plant Foldies, highly recommend it. I want to meet you guys out there. So we're going to go ahead and walk into the outdoor garden section. Now, I typically start my big box store plant shopping at the outdoor garden section because there are some plants that you can actually bring indoors as houseplants, and we'll discuss that in just a bit. But you can see there a huge majesty palm. That's a plant you will always see at a big box store. And then we have a bunch of these ready to go containers. So basically you just pick the plant setup that you have, find a container that's a little bit larger, pop it in there, and you've got a nice container plant. Like this one right here is a bunch of coleus plants. Now these ones are sun tolerant coleus plants. So those are coleus plants that you can actually grow in full sun. I think that is the spice curry coleus plant that we have over here with the beautiful purple undersides. I do love coleus plants. I had a huge coleus obsession. I still do. I'm pretty much collected so many different varieties of coleus plants. They are all growing happily in my backyard. I ended up moving them from my front patio to my backyard when I went on vacation to the Philippines. I ended up getting a sprinkler system that was automated, so I was really excited. You know, whenever you go on a 2-week vacation, especially overseas, and you don't have somebody that's going to be watering your plants, that's the stressful part about just having a lot of plants in general. I'm glad that I had a plan to just get that automated watering system going. I can't necessarily say that about my indoor house plants. There were quite a bit of casualties. There were quite a bit of plants that ended up going to plant heaven. But again, that's, you a trial and error. You learn from that. And honestly, it's a blessing in disguise for me because after going to the Philippines, and I say this in a lot of my newer videos, I just realized that plant care really translates to how close can you get the plant to its natural environment. And I pretty much decided that I'm going to try to just collect plants that are easy to care for. So plants that really require lower light conditions or can tolerate lower light conditions. Definitely plants that can tolerate drought conditions because knowing myself, I am not a consistent person that waters my plants, and that's really one of my biggest downfalls. So, to get off that tangent, I did want to show you some of these beautiful encore azaleas. Now, I do love encore azaleas. I feature this, and you can see that this is a really nice shrubby bush of an encore azalea. I love the bonfire too. When this is actually in full bloom, the entire bush is filled with some beautiful fiery red blooms. Now, with encore azaleas or azaleas in general, the problem with it is, especially when you plant them first into the landscape, their roots really need to acclimate and adapt to the soil. They do not tolerate being underwatered. So like if you just let them go on a drought, it is highly likely that your azalea will die. They also prefer more acidic soil. And the way I try to make things more acidic is by use coffee grounds. They're a really good natural way to make your soil more acidic. But with azaleas, same thing with like the Fatsa japonica or Japanese Aurelia. I really love these as well. This one has gotten a little bit of sunburn. They don't tolerate full sun, so you need to really put them in a shaded area, which makes them actually a pretty good candidate to grow indoors. That is a plant that I eventually want to add to my plant collection. Now, cordyline Hawaiian tea plants. I feature this in pretty much all my videos. I talk about the fact that I do love the look of this plant. I think this is a wonderful plant. This is definitely a legit tropical plant. When I was in the Philippines, these were literally growing out in the jungle. It was growing out on the side of the road. They were just living their best life. But the problem with cordyline tea plant, when you take them indoors, at least in the western part of the world, like the United States, they are very susceptible to spider mites. Like they are a spider mite magnet. They're kind of like Hydra helix, or the correct way to say is Hedera helix or English ivy. It's like if you take them outdoors, they will grow fine. But if you take them indoors, it's like their health is really compromised. Therefore, they're more susceptible to spider mites. So that just ends up becoming more of a plant nightmare than plant joy. So unfortunately, cordyline plants are just not really meant to be grown indoors. If you do grow them indoors, Let me know your secret. Let us all know in your secret on how to do that, and leave that in the comments. Now, over here we've got some beautiful peonies. Now these are perennial plants, and it's something that I've actually thought about growing in my garden. I actually did quite a bit of landscaping this year, my outdoor section, and I'm really excited about that. Like, I really want to develop my garden. In my backyard, I actually have a bunch of Japanese maples. I did have a couple of azaleas that, Satsuki azaleas actually, that survived our cold winter. So I was really excited about that. But I do want to develop my Japanese garden. There are a couple of plants I do want to add into my landscape. I did put a bunch of lantana, and while lantana aren't necessarily like a Japanese garden theme, they are great to put in a Texas landscape because they're drought tolerant, they're heat tolerant, they're vigorous growers, and they have beautiful blooms. So they check a lot of the boxes that would make me want to go put that in my landscape, and they're a perennial. So when winter comes and it kills them off and they start to die off, I just know that they will come back year after year, which will save you some money. Now over here, unfortunately, is not a perennial plant, at least not in the grow zone I'm in. And these are all of the hibiscus. These are the tropical hibiscus. So we have tropical hibiscus, and we also have hardy hibiscus, or the native type of hibiscus. Now, native type hibiscus, you can actually grow in most landscapes in the United States. You just have to do your research on your grow zone. They are considered a perennial. I've had a couple of plant folies ask me my aesthetic when it comes to planters. I love showing you terracotta planters, and this is one of my favorite planters. This is what you would call an orchid planter. I've actually repotted my Phalaenopsis orchids in this one, or my variegated Phalaenopsis orchid. The reason why I like it is it has extra drainage hole, extra aeration, so you can even plant some of your aeroids in that. And I also love these Cabo, or what they call Cabo terracotta planters. I love how it's very simplistic. There's not an actual lip like this one right here. Like, I do like this, but I prefer the ones that just have no lip on the planter. I love that simplistic modern look. But with terracotta planters, if you are an overwaterer or somebody that waters their plants a little bit more frequently, terracotta planters are great because they don't retain that much moisture, which actually keeps the soil. The soil dries out a little bit faster with terracotta. So that's something I would recommend for somebody who tends to overwater. Now, terracotta wouldn't necessarily be best for me because I just don't water my plants, flat out just don't water my plants. It is it's a big problem. It is a problem that I'm mitigating pretty quickly. And a lot of it is because I am tired from work, as well as just, all of the other things that I got myself into, like YouTube. Again, being able to film, 1 hour plant shopping videos daily, editing it, uploading it, and just kind of sharing it on social media. It does take a bit of my time. Now, plant folies, I am showing you some of the supplies that I use. So you saw some of that sphagnum moss. I use that for propagating, and I use this brand. I use the Orchid Grow Mix, the coarse one or the fine grade. I use the coarse because I like more thicker amendments of orchid bark to put in my soil. I also use that Better Grow orchid powder fertilizer. Now, I do use Miracle Grow as well, but whenever I use Miracle Grow, I just like using the all-purpose Miracle Grow liquid fertilizer. I also use Scott's Super Bloom fertilizer for plants that I want to develop the root system because it has a high phosphorus, and phosphorus actually is a good way to establish roots. So if you really want your plants to grow some massive roots, using like a Super Bloom or a fertilizer that has a lot of phosphorus will do that. That's actually what I would use as well for, some of the plants that I just repotted. Those would be a good way to just kind of stabilize the roots. Also, if you want a bunch of, vegetables or plants that have blooms, Super Bloom is definitely great. A high phosphorus fertilizer is what you want to put on blooming plants or vegetable plants. Now over here, we've got a cool looking spider plant. I love spider plants, and I love spider plants to start just pushing out all of those babies. And then I also love pink plants. So this is the last of the Tradescanthia Nanuks. Now these are for $4.98. Really love the Tradescanthia Nanuk. I've mentioned this in so many of my videos, but pink plants really bring me a lot of joy. I love the purple undersides as well. And I just think that they're just such a great plant to add. And then we also have these Rodeo oyster oyster plant. And the thing about it is they're small here for $4.98. But when I was in the Philippines, I've seen the maximum size that these rodeo oyster plants can grow. They can become as large as some of those agave that you would see out in the landscape, planted in the landscape. These obviously wouldn't be able to grow in my grow zone as a landscape plant because they are more of a tropical plant. Now these plants can be grown indoors, and so I have a collection of pink plants. Really love the look of them, and I'm glad that they still have just the last bit of it, so it looks like either they got sold through and people have just bought them. And you can see here we have a bunch of really leggy Tradescanthia. So that's the only problem with Tradescanthia is they get quite leggy. So you have to cut them back. And speaking of leggy, look at all of these very leggy coleus plants. Honestly, I would still buy these coleus plants, but I would definitely trim them down very aggressively down to almost the base. Coleus plants are very quick to just push out new shoots. That's the thing about coleus plants. You've really got to pinch them back and trim them back in order for them to remain not so leggy. And then over here is that lone variegated boat lily. I have one of these. These are really cool. I love the variegation on it, but look at that right there. Now the non-variegated form of this is called the purple heart plant. I like that as well, but the variegation is pretty nice. And then over here, plant foliage, you can see they've got quite a bit of cordyline tea plants. Really like that. I've tried to grow them indoors before, and unfortunately they just get spider mites. So if I am gonna buy a cordyline plant and try to grow them indoors, I would buy the compact dwarf varieties. Now a local plant nursery called Callaway's did carry them, and I regret not buying them, but I also in retrospect think that it's probably best for me because I probably wouldn't be able to grow it long-term indoors. And then over here, this is a result of getting too much light. You can see that it's on pretty bleached out. This is a teardrop peperomia, which is another plant I would love to add to my collection. This one is for $20.48, I believe. That is a Costa Farms exotic angel plant. And as I walk around here, we have a bunch of these Boston fern. It looks like we've got a sun-bleached strawberry begonia. And then we have a beautiful Hoya Wyetii non-variegated form. The variegated form is called a Quintiana, but you can see right here, this is a Hoya Wyetii. I have been able to feature quite a bit of Hoyas, different Hoyas from my latest plant shopping video at a local nursery called North Haven Gardens. They had such a huge selection, but big box stores, they do carry some Hoya. Typically you'll see like a Hoya carnosa, but it's really nice to see a full hanging basket of Hoya Wyetii. Hoyas are grown for their blooms. I have yet to get my Hoyas to bloom, but I did realize that Hoyas are an easy to care for plant. They're very forgiving. Now over here, we've got a Cupid peperomia, beautiful variegation as well here. This one looks like it's gotten a little too much sun. So I would say it's either sun bleach or sun stress, however you want to put it. Now this one is also for $20.48 in a hanging basket. I appreciate Costa Farms in a sense that Costa Farms has really made a lot of these exotic tropical plants accessible to us. So I'm not complaining about their hanging baskets. You can see though that these plants have received a little bit too much light. And so that's the thing about certain plants. They really do prefer bright and direct light. And so now we're going to go ahead and walk in and take a look at the plants, the indoor tropical plants here. Now, mind you, this Lowe's may not have been restocked with plants, but I still want to see what plants they have available. This one catches my eye, and you can see right here, this is a beautiful Epipremnum aureum neon pothos. This is another Live Trends hanging basket, ceramic basket. Really love that neon color. I mean, plant folies, what do you think about the neon pothos? Isn't that just a classic pothos? Now, I believe that one is $16.98. So you can see that from the first location that I showed you at Sprouts, you can get it for $6.49. So that's the only reason why I ended up buying the plant, is because it was a really good price. And then over here, we've got some Ficus lyrata or fiddle fig leaf trees. Now, these are also by Costa Farms. These are, I believe, $22.98. And then we've got an Epipremna alplicium silver streak or silver streak pothos. beautiful plant, and I was so thankful that a local plant foldie by the name of Gloria actually gave one to me as a present. Really appreciate that. And that's the thing, I have been meeting quite a bit of plant foldies while I'm out shooting these videos, filming these videos. And what's interesting is I am faceless on YouTube. I don't know if I really do want to do a face reveal, but it's still interesting how some people have asked if I was grow folds. It's very flattering. I am very honored that you guys care to talk to me while I'm out filming. I like to make new friends, and I do believe that the plant foldie community is steadily growing. We've got a positive environment, and that's how I want our community to be. That's how I want our plant community to remain, is to be really supportive, be there for each other, and just really celebrate plants. Like, I just enjoy making these plant shopping videos like this right here, for instance, just to be able to show you a beautiful Scindapsus trubii Moonlight. Now, this one is for $19.98. This is Salsa Farms Trending Tropical. But just to be able to like film plants and then go around and give you my personal commentary, I always feel like the lens I show you these plants, it's as if you are walking around with me at these big box stores and we're just hanging out. Now, I know I tend to talk a lot, but that's because I really do enjoy talking about plants, and I want to be there for people that may not necessarily have somebody else to talk about plants, obsess about plants, or just really celebrate the fact that these plants are amazing. Like this Silver Streak Pothos, I love the look of it. It is a simple plant. Some people would even say it's a common plant. I think it's uncommon because it's still relatively new in the big box stores, but it is an easy to care for plant, which is a plus. Yeah, you can see right here, $24.98 for this Ficus lyrata or fiddle fig leaf tree. If you were to go to the Philippines and watch some of my Philippines plant video content, you'll see Ficus lyrata or fiddle fig leaf can grow up to 20 to 30 feet trees in full sun. So it's quite interesting in the natural habitat what these plants can do. I'm going to walk over here and show you some of these beautiful ceramic planters by Live Trends. You can see the price right here. The thing about Live Trends is, hands down, Live Trends has the best stylish planters. They have a really nice variety of plants to choose from. And overall, they are just always pushing the envelope when it comes to modern contemporary planters. Really love the look of that red Marantha. And then you can see right over here, we've got a bunch of Live Trend planters. You can see that bold orange. You can see that that's the price for it over as well. And it is growing, these low light tolerant succulent plants, these Haworthias. And I will say with Haworthias, it is a little bit hard for me to believe that a succulent plant could be a little bit low light tolerant, but I have been told and have seen multiple sources where Haworthias actually can tolerate lower light conditions. Now, just because a plant can tolerate lower light conditions, I always tell my plant foldies that it's always best to give them bright indirect light. Like, bright indirect light is the happy medium. You think of like the solar system and how they have that like area of habitable environment where literally our planet Earth is just further from the sun than it needs to be, but not too far to where like it would be cold. It's the same thing with lighting conditions. Bright indirect light is the most habitable area for the majority of plants that we see. So again, plant foldies, I love giving you my insights. So let me know what you think about just lighting conditions, and let me know what you think about those Sansevierias. I really love Sansevierias, especially this one right here, the more like starfish looking ones, the ones that are thicker. I don't really like the Sansevieria trifasciata, which are the typical snake plants. I prefer the ones that are thicker because for some reason they're just more hardy, and it is interesting that they're in a self-watering planter. And then what else do we have here? We've got another beautiful silver band Marantha, and this is a Marantha I need to add to my collection. I typically don't like to add plants that are in that same realm as like Calatheas, Stromanthes, Thananthes, Maranthas, just because they are a little bit more of a finicky plant. You can see this one is a little bit thirsty, but silver band Marantha is still in an uncommon plant. It was highly uncommon a couple years back. Now, I see a lot of plant foldies from Canada watching my videos. I do ask the question if you still think that silver band Marantha is a little bit rare, or uncommon. Please leave that in the comments. I am really curious to see what plants are uncommon in certain regions. I realized that plant pricing depends on the availability of the plants. It's just, pretty much basic economics. Like you can see here, Scindapsus silver Ann, very common plant. But when I was overseas in the Philippines, one plant I thought that was extremely inexpensive and is super expensive in the Western world would be a variegated Pachira aquatica, or a variegated money tree. I remember seeing small grafted variegated money trees selling for $100. But then again, I was seeing variegated money trees in the Philippines, out on like patios at restaurants, and nobody was paying attention to it. And they were really not that expensive to purchase as well. So more learnings. And as you can see right here, it looks like Live Trends has released another type of hydroponic containers of planters. So this one right here has a beautiful wooden finish. It's got a little bit of like a test tube type look, but you can see we've got a Dracaena here. Now the Dracaena doesn't look too healthy, and the water, it needs to be refilled, but that one is for $18.98. And then over here, I've seen this actually the last time. Now this is for $13.98. This is an urban jungle plant, and this is just a common coffee plant. Now I love the fact that coffee plants have that natural shine. Plant Foldies, let me know if you've grown coffee plants. That is another plant I would like to add to my collection, because I've been told that the plant care tips, it doesn't really require a lot of attention. Same thing with these Dracaenas here. So we've got a lot of Dracaenas. Love the Dracaenas. This one is also for $13.98 by Urban Jungle. I have 3 Dracaena in my collection, and I tell you, they are some of the easiest plants to take care of. They just don't require a lot of water. They can tolerate lower light conditions. And this is interesting that somebody has gotten a Dracaena Masangiana and put it in one of those Cabo containers, one of those terracotta planters. That's really what I like as well. That is actually a really nice combination for that plant. Really nice plant aesthetic. And then also this right here, beautiful, interesting shape by Live Trends. This is another Dracaena White Jewel. I believe that's the Dracaena. And again, that is only for $13.98. Really beautiful planters. I do like the shapes of them. I like those geometric shapes. I love planters, like even the terracotta planter with this macrame hanging is really nice. That's for $23.98. Urban Jungle hanging basket as well of just some golden pothos. Golden pothos, common plant, but an easy to care for plant. It is another plant that is a little bit forgiving if you don't water the plant, and it is an easy plant to propagate. Now over here, we've got another type of philodendron species. I'm not 100% sure what it is. It is another urban jungle plant. So Plant Foldies, let me know in the comments if you know the plant ID. I'm gonna go guess that maybe this is a juvenile form of a philodendron summer glory. I could be wrong, but it's got that, beautiful satin finish to the leaves. Really nice looking philodendron. And if you're going to ask me, most philodendron that I've run into are actually easy to care for plants, as well as this. Like every time I look at a neon pothos plant or just an Epipremnum aureum neon, there's just a level of joy I get. I think, with the fact that yellow is literally the color of joy, and then that neon look about it, it's just fabulous. I love it. And that is another plant that I could get multiples of just because it's such an easy to care for plant. It is a plant that brings me a lot of joy. Same thing with this Enjoy right over here. Now, I love the texture on this one. This hanging basket right here. If they had those available at the Sprouts that I just went to, they were selling them for $6.49. I would buy this hands down. I feel like you can never have enough of Enjoy Pothos or Epipremnum aureum Enjoy, just because look at that variegation. Beautiful variegation. It is quite a bit of a slower growing pothos, and the leaves don't get nearly as large, but I do like the fact that it doesn't necessarily revert if you don't give it the best lighting conditions. It would just grow extremely slow. It's already a slower growing type pothos, but as you can see here, Plant Foldies, we've got a pretty good selection of plants. Here is one that really has left an imprint in my mind, and that is the bird's nest fern. So Look at this right here. This is an urban jungle plant, bird's nest fern. When I was in the Philippines, these ferns grew so big. They were so massive. Like, I would say the diameters of these ferns, these bird's nest ferns, were like 3 to 4 feet in diameter. They were huge. And then look at this really cute looking syngonium. This might be a neon robusta or neon pink syngonium. I've had some people ask me to plant ID some of the syngoniums. Unfortunately, syngoniums are very similar in look, especially the pink variety. So if you don't get the initial plant ID, it's very challenging to really identify them. And then over here, bromeliads. This one is in a crate. This one is for $26.98. I feel like you can get some pretty cost-effective plants from Lowe's, especially if they mark them down and you catch them on a good clearance day. But that is probably my least favorite looking bromeliad. I prefer the bromeliad with the more pink bold colors. But this one right here is a underrated plant. I feel like it's a plant that everybody should also add into their collection, and that is a philodendron heteroraceum, just a green variety. You can see here we have a really interesting alocasia right here, beautiful one. I do think I have this one. I don't specifically know what this alocasia is. I do like that aquamarine silver tone on it. It's a beautiful plant. And then that is Urban Jungle, again selling it for $13.98. Really like the fact that Urban Jungle has some really unique plants coming out, especially alocasia. And then right over here is a common but beautiful dark foliage syngonium. I believe this is a Syngonium Maria. And now if you want that darker foliage, you want to provide it a little bit more bright and direct light. And you can see here, this one is actually in a planter that is made from bamboo, so we're not using plastic. Really like the fact that, this particular plant is in a more eco-friendly planter. And the bromeliad is beautiful. It's just not my type of bromeliad I would get into. And then we're gonna also take a look at this. It looks like they've got a Calathea rospicta, and you can see that some of the leaves have already started to brown up. It's not necessarily happy with its life at the moment. Maybe there's just not enough humidity. And then you can see right here, this is another plant find. I would say $13.98 for this beautiful silver band marantha. You can see that it's got some offshoots that you can cut and actually propagate. This is another plant that I want to add to my plant collection, but I am in the process of really downsizing my plant collection. I just feel like downsizing my plant collection is just going to bring me a little bit more joy because I'm able to enjoy my plants versus stressing out on whether I need to water them. Now, this is a plant I like, the ZZ plant. This is a simple one, but what I really like is look at how beautiful the planter is. I really love that simplistic terracotta planter. I could actually put all my plants in in that type of planter, and I would be extremely happy. And then over here, we've got some Phalaenopsis orchids, and it looks like they have been almost through their bloom cycle. So I would think that this plant is probably ready to be clearanced out because most stores will not sell orchids unless they're in bloom. And you can see here, beautiful orchid plus syngonium container. Love the pink syngonium. And then over here, we've got a hanging basket for $16.98. This is another Costa Farms plant. I do think that this might either be a Snow Queen Pothos or Marble Queen Pothos. Either way, beautiful variegation. Now, if it was going to be a legitimate Snow Queen Pothos, the variegation would be less yellow creamy and more so white. Still, it's a beautiful plant. I love the variegation on it. And I just love all of these Urban Jungle hanging baskets. Now, the texture on the actual planter, ceramic planter, I could do without, but I do love the plants that they have. I do love the shape. I just don't really like that it's got texture. I would have preferred it to just be a very simplistic surface. And you can see over here, let's take a look at this. This one is an Epipremnum aureum lemon meringue pothos. Notice how it's got more subtle green on green variegation. Now, if you provide it with more bright light, it will definitely give you more of that aurea yellowish tone that is known for the lemon meringue pothos. This is still a fairly new pothos. It is definitely a slower growing pothos, and it's one that will always have smaller leaves. And then this one right here, I just love the ceramic planter it's in. I even love the color of that, orange yellow or yellow orange color. And then you can see this is such a healthy looking Epipremnum aureum Enjoy Pothos. You know, plant foldies, I love this Pothos. It's really tough for me to choose my favorite Pothos. Sometimes I tinker between a Manjula Pothos, an Enjoy Pothos, or even a Global Green. I have yet to see all of those beautiful Japanese Teruno Pothos that are still quite expensive, but I am enjoying the fact that they, you know, this Lowe's has some pretty decent plants. Would I say that they're the most fresh plants? No, I think that these plants have been sitting here for quite a while, so I'm hoping that they will actually get a legitimate restock with tons of new plants. You can see here, hanging basket of Especia. This is the Pink Panther, beautiful pink bloom, and I love the satin leaves that this particular plant has. That's a really nice touch to it, and you can just see that this one is also for $20.48. This is Costa Farms Exotic Angels hanging basket, and I did want to walk over here, Plant Foldies, and show you some of these planters. So this one right here, I actually like. I like the look of it. I like the shape of it. I like how it looks modern. I definitely like this one right here. I like the shape of it as well. And I do like the fact that it's gray, so it's got more of a neutral tone. So whenever you're putting plants in there, the planter becomes a less distracting planter, and it really just focuses onto the plant. I also like this one with the wooden plant stand and also just the gray look. So that's the thing, Plant Foldies, when it comes to like planters and whatnot, I am a little bit more particular on what planters I put my plants. And then you can see here, this is an example of a peperomia teardrop. Again, this one is the how it's more green. It's because it didn't get like bleached out by the sun like some of the other peperomia teardrops that you saw outdoors. And then this is a plant that I want to just admire but not necessarily add into my plant collection, and that is the Belgian waffle plant. Any of the waffle plants I can't really grow in my plant collection just because they just require quite a bit of water. So unless I have a terrarium setting where it's just getting some of that water naturally, I can't grow plants that require a lot of water or are super thirsty. And that's the reason why it's a little ironic that I love like syngoniums. I've realized that if a syngonium dries out completely and you don't water it, is not a very forgiving plant. It actually becomes very stressed to the point where it starts to decline in health. But you can see they've got all of these different varieties of Costa Farms Exotic Angel Syngoniums. This one I believe is either the Berry Exotic Illusion or a Syngonium Maria. And then you can just see they've got quite a bit of little starter planters. I like this as well. This is one of my favorite plants. This is a Boforiana Aralia. And when I was in the Philippines, these were like 4 to 5 feet tall. They were massive. They were growing. They were thriving. And what I did learn about the Boforiana Aralia, or variegated Aralia, is this is another plant that's a little bit more thirsty. It doesn't really tolerate like staying dry too long. So that's just something that's I learned, but look at how beautiful that variegation is there. It is a common plant. It's an easy to care for plant as long as you can provide it the light, the bright indirect light, and just stay on top of the watering. I will also show you this really gnarly looking teddy bear vine. Very common plant. This one is for $16.98. I do like it. It would be a plant I would potentially add into my plant collection, but we will see on that. It's just because I have been downsizing my plant collection. And then you can see right over here, we've got this Diaflora alisobia. What is interesting is, do you see those little white flowers right here? This is actually in bloom. I don't know if you can really see some of the white flowers. I thought that was really interesting because I didn't realize that this plant actually blooms as well. This is another plant that I feel like would be like a tropical ground cover that has really just translated itself into a hanging basket because it trails. So I have looked into that. There are a couple of ground covers that were growing for outdoor use that I was thinking of possibly growing as like hanging baskets. And then you can see right here, we've got some beautiful white Phottonias. I love to look at white Phottonias or just Phottonias. But again, it's always better for me to just observe and admire versus add and collect or collect and add to my plant collection, because I know that I'm not going to water that as much as it needs. And then we just have a bunch of these fiddle fig leaf trees, Ficus lyrata. It is a OG, or one of the common plants. That's not bad for $35.98. And then for $22.98, we also have a Majesty palm. Palms in general, especially Majesty palms, it doesn't really tickle my fancy in terms of just plant collecting. I just feel like palms are a little bit too basic for me. They're also mealybug prone, so they can get pests, and it's just really challenging to find space for them in an indoor space. And then over here, Osmocote, that is what I use as well. I love that product. It is a slow release fertilizer that you can put on the top surface of your plants or mix into your plant's actual potting mix. And then you can see plant folies over here. You can see a bunch of these beautiful Dracaenas, large form, and you can see we also have soil amendments. This is perlite, so if you ever want to make your soil a little bit more fast draining, adding some perlite will really help with that. And then as you can see, plant folies, this Lowe's actually has quite a bit of a surplus of plants, so they have a couple of shelves. Again, this is another beautiful Epipremnum alpleasium, silver streak pothos. Really like the look at it. It isn't a self-watering planter. That is a Costa Farms training tropical plant. I'm glad that I was able to get it for free through a very generous plant foldy by the name of Gloria, so I really appreciate that. And then you can see over here we've got some bromeliads. Look at how interesting that bromeliad is. I really like the pink bloom on it. Something about pink in general. It's probably one of my favorite colors, to be honest. You know, pink plants are just cool. So plant foldies, again, if you made it this far, leave me some comments. I really want to know what you guys think. Leave as many comments as possible. Like, let me know what you think about this Alocasia reginae. Beautiful plant. Unfortunately, it's got some cosmetic damage. It's already stressed out, but that is waste if that plant ends up going to be compost. Same thing with this right here. This is a common but beautiful Aglaonema red siam, or Aglaonema siam. I've mentioned this in a lot of my videos, but I just feel like that's such an underrated plant. Same thing with this particular Alocasia. I'm not sure what it is, but what I do know is it's only for $13.98. We've got some Raven ZZ plants. Now, this is another plant that if you can find it for a good price, I would recommend it. It is an indestructible plant. You don't really need to water it as much, and it's still a pretty fast grower. Some people say it's slow. It's actually grown pretty fast for me. And then over here, another beautiful Aglaonema red siam. The more bright light you give it, the better and more pronounced the pink stems will be, as well as some of those red outlining. And then over here, we've still got several of those beautiful hanging baskets by Urban Jungle. This is for $13.98. You can see that it is a golden pothos. Pothos are really nice plants. There's so many different varieties. There's so many varieties that I would highly recommend just because they're just readily available. Like this one right here is an Epipremnum aureum lemon meringue pothos. Really like the look of that as well. And the thing about it is it looks more green, but if you provide it with more bright light, it definitely will give you that yellow variegation that we like. Now this pothos right here would be called a pearls and jade because it has more of that speckling variegation. This isn't an enjoy, but they're often mistaken for being one or the other. Beautiful plant again by Live Trends. Love the planter that it's in. I may end up collecting those hanging basket ceramic planters by Live Trends just because of that modern color of that red. And then over here is an Urban Jungle hanging basket of neon pothos. Another beautiful plant. Again, neon pothos, it's probably one of my favorite pothos as well. I mean, I'm just going to go out and say that all pothos, I love them. It just really depends on my mood. But this one being a more neon color, I love neon color plants. I also love plants that are purple or dark foliage plants. So, you know, they're opposite sides of the spectrum, but that's the beauty about just having plants. Like, look at that. We've got 4 different varieties of pothos plants, or pothos plants, however you want to pronounce it, and they're super easy. So I would recommend anybody who is starting plant collecting or growing plants indoors, get yourself a pothos plant. Start yourself off with a neon pothos, a golden pothos, and enjoy one of the two. And then over here, we've got some really cute planters again. And this is a really unique looking Haworthia. Really like the look of that as well. Now, Haworthias, again, I don't have them in my plant collection, but these ones are a little bit more low light tolerant, drought tolerant. So they make a good, easy to care for plant, and that's how we like them. And then over here, look at these cute little planters, these lemon and like watermelon and orange with just some of those tillandsia or air plants. Think I love that. And then over here, we've got some plants that aren't looking as healthy, but needless to say, they're fair looking. This one is a Syngonium again. This is a Syngonium Maria, $7.98. We've got a Dracaena right next to it. And then this is a plant that I really want to get. This is a Paulownia watermelon. I have been eyeing this particular plant for quite a while. I remember this was on another shelf. I'm hoping that they may clearance this out because I would end up buying it. It looks like a plant that would be easy to take care of. It looks like a plant that would be easy to propagate. I don't know a lot about this particular plant. It definitely looks exotic. It's something that I don't really see a lot of plant collectors showing on YouTube or social media, but I think it's such a cool looking plant. So plant foldies, let me know what you think of that plant. I may go back and try to purchase it, or maybe even ask them to clearance it out because it's not the most healthy looking plant. This one right here too, I want to get another Balferiana Auralia. This one is also for $5 and I think 97 cents. So it is a little bit pricey for those starter plants, but needless to say, again, plant foldies, I just wanted to show you just a quick overview of the plants that they have here. It looks like they do have a section with some clearance plants, but their clearance plants don't really look that happy. But as you can see here, plant foldies, this is, quite a bit of plants that they still have. I'm hoping they will get a restock, but I'm starting to notice that during the summertime, at least in the North Dallas area, the plants that they're sourcing, there's not as many of them. So maybe it's just because of the heat. But again, plant foldies, let me know what you think so far, because I'm going to be going to another location right after this. So make sure that you are staying tuned and watching this video completely. So the next location we're going to go to is one of my favorite locations. This is another grocery store plant shopping video, and this one is specifically for a Kroger marketplace. Now, this is the same Kroger that I found Montserrat Thai constellations, rare philodendron, uncommon Hoya, just really inexpensive plants. Now, this one is located in Frisco, Texas, right off of Custer Road. This is right across the street from another grocery store called HEB that I often get some really cool plants. But you can see this one is technically in Frisco, but I would even say it's in McKinney. It's just really interesting that this is called Frisco when on the side that other places and they call it McKinney. But anyways, plant foldies, we're just going to take a look at some of the seasonality of some of the plants. So you already know that if you go to a grocery store, a lot of their plants are going to be in the floral section. So you can see right here for $7.99 in a tin, this is a kalanchoe, a flowering kalanchoe, a yellow variety. And then you can see right here, we've got some Kalia lilies. We just got quite a bit of these flowering plants. I am going to get to the good stuff in just a second, but as you can see here, this is a beautiful blooming anthurium. Love the pink blooms. While it's still common, that's not a bad price for the anthuriums as well. I believe they're $12.99, somewhere around that range, and they are in a ceramic planter, at least the ones I'm picking up. It looks like they've sold through a lot. And then check out this sago palm right here by Costa Farms. You can see this is for $14.99. I do think that is a little bit pricey. If I were to buy a sago palm, I would go to Walmart because they have the same one for a little bit less than that. I think it's like $9.99. And then you can just see right here, beautiful blooming anthuriums. Look at that pink. I really like the look of that, but more so I like the leaves, just that arrowhead shaped leaf. It's a really nice pronounced shape. You can see that they've got a natural shine about it. I really like that a lot. And that's the thing about these blooming anthuriums. I've actually been able to grow them in hydroponics fairly easily with very minimal care. I basically bought one of these anthuriums, and then when I took it home, I washed away all of the soil substrate and just literally stuck the roots in a bowl with water that has some plant nutrients. Now, if you're going to ask me what I use for plant nutrients, honestly, I don't do all of the hydroponic nutrients, which was probably going to be better long term if I did, but I use a Miracle-Gro trace fertilizer where I just put a very small amount of that fertilizer, dissolve it in the water so it has some of these plant nutrients. But you can see here, beautiful large spathiphyllum. That one is for $19.99. I don't really like the sparkly purple decoration in the ribbon, but you know, to each his own. That's the thing about, you know, Kroger grocery. You will see some really interesting plants like this right here. I'm almost tempted to buy this philodendron imperial gold for $9.99. I don't really see a lot of imperial golds, so I would consider that a plant find. What a beautiful philodendron. It is literally yellow. And again, with these neon plants, these yellow plants, I am all about that. And that's the thing, plant foldies. As I continue to do big box store plant shopping videos, all of the brand new content, I'm hoping to find a couple of new plant finds for the summer. I will be filming some more local plant nurseries this week. Like one plant nursery I want to film on Wednesday would be Peeta's Planters. Love Peeta's Planters, and if you guys haven't already watched it, definitely check out my Peeta's Planters videos. I have, I think, 3 now, plus a compilation of all 3 videos. They have some amazing plants. I always say support small businesses as well as big box stores. That's another place that you want to check out. But you can see right here, Kroger has some really interesting plants. You saw the golden pothos. This one is for $9.99. This is a polka dot plant. This is a plant I definitely won't really be adding to my collection, just because it is another plant that I've had in the past that just doesn't do well for me. I just didn't either get the watering right. And then over here for $9.99 is a Pilea peperomoides, or a Chinese money tree plant, or what you call a UFO plant. Beautiful plant. It's quite interesting. It does produce quite a bit of pups. So like you can literally separate it from the soil and you can get a bunch of free plants. That way it's a pretty fast growing plant. And then over here is a beautiful Ficus elastica burgundy. I love the dark foliage as well as like the maroon veining. This one is for $17.99. I do think that it is a little bit pricey for a Ficus elastica. The best place to buy a rubber tree plant like that would be Trader Joe's. And you can see right here, we've got a Hydra Helix. Now this 6-inch Hydra Helix, or Hedera Helix English Ivy, is $17.99. I think that is overpriced. I love the look. I love the just green variety of the English Ivy. And for those that are new, I have this obsession with loving English Ivy, even though if you ask anybody who grows plants, indoor tropical plants, that is one of the most challenging plants to keep alive. And you can see right here, I just love that. Plant foldies, let me know what you think about that imperial yellow philodendron. That's just amazing to find that. And then we can see right here, this is for $10.99. This is a Hoya compacta, or just a regular Hindu Hoya Hindu rope. I do want to add that to my collection. I am just a little bit fearful that if I added that Hoya to my collection, if I ever had like a mealybug infestation, it would just be very challenging, very difficult to get rid of them, especially with all of the grooves. And then you can't go to a Kroger grocery store and not see a bunch of Phalaenopsis orchids. I love Phalaenopsis orchids. I think once I get everything settled, I may do an orchid wall in my home. But you can see here, that's the thing about Kroger. You will be able to find some really cool Hoyas. Now this is for $10.99. So like you really have to compare and contrast your plant pricing. Sometimes it's inexpensive to buy at a big box store, sometimes a grocery store, and sometimes even a local plant nursery. So it's just all about really canvassing and looking at the plant pricing. Like this one right here is for $9.99. This is a smaller variety of Phalaenopsis orchids. I think they're adorable. It's just something that I haven't really gotten myself into. I'm actually surprised because orchids just come in so many different bloom varieties. It's quite interesting. And then you can see right there, that was a Palea peperomoides. We've got a bunch of Phalaenopsis orchids right here that are in peak bloom. Beautiful plant. And somebody asked me, how long does a orchid, like a Phalaenopsis orchid, hold its blooms? Typically for about a month, maybe more than that, just really depending on the environment it's in. But needless to say, it does take about 6 months for the orchid to shoot out some more spikes for it to bloom. Like you can see right here, these purple blue orchids are artificial. Those were just dyed. They got some food coloring substance to just get the plants to take that pigment. But if it were to rebloom, it's probably going to be like a yellow or even a white Phalaenopsis orchid. But you can see here just a bunch of plants to take a look at. And as you can see, we've got a beautiful Palea plant right here, this aluminum plant for $9.99. It is one of my favorite plants. I love that metallic shine it has, and it's a fairly easy plant. You just have to make sure that you keep the soil moist. And then we've got some more golden pothos right over here. You just won't be crying over you. Talk about plants. Look at how beautiful this Alocasia black velvet is for only $9.99. Now it looks like it's actually bloomed a couple of times. Now if you have blooms on an Alocasia, you want to get rid of the blooms of the Alocasia, because the plant will produce more energy toward the bloom versus leaves. So if you see that on an Alocasia, you might want to go ahead and just chop the bloom. And then right here, this is a not a Phalaenopsis, I'm sorry. This is a Philodendron snowdrift. So here's the thing about Kroger. This Kroger has gotten so many Philodendron snowdrifts as well as Philodendron squamiferum that I'm just waiting for them to reduce the prices. So we'll see. But you can see here, beautiful croton right here. This is I think the Petra, Croton Petra. This one is also for $9.99. That's actually a pretty large croton. And then again, here is another beautiful Philodendron Imperial Gold for $9.99. I may end up going back and buying this Philodendron because this Philodendron is also an easy to care for Philodendron. I noticed that just the majority of Philodendron that I've been running into are fairly easy to take care of, and I'm all about that. I'm really trying to simplify my plant care and just the amount of time I have invested in the plants, because I've had a lot of plants as of late make it to plant heaven. It's a little bit embarrassing, but more so, it's just really disappointing. You try to put your efforts into growing a plant. That one right here, though, is a really interesting variegated raindrop peperomia. I think that's such a cool looking plant. Same thing with a Hydra Helix. This one, though, is an expensive Hydra Helix for $17.99. English ivy. What can I say about English ivy? If you want to grow it, grow it. Don't grow it indoors. It'll get spider mites. Grow it outdoors in a shaded patio and it will just do fine. Hedera Helix doesn't want to be overwatered, but it also doesn't want to be underwatered. If you can give it humidity, it does better that way as well. So that's just some of my care tips. And you can see here, we've got some more Enjoy Pothos. And I do like the quality of Enjoy Pothos that Kroger gets. Now, this one is for $9.99. Beautiful variegation. Again, this is another easy to care for plant. I would recommend it for any beginners. And same thing with even the Hoya compacta. Like, it is just a very slow growing Hoya. Now that one is for $12.99. So I've seen some uncommon Hoyas make it into Kroger. So it just really depends on if you get lucky during like a restock. I have been able to walk in on the day that they like put in uncommon or rare plant like a Monstera constellation, the philodendrons. So I've been able to get first pick with that. And that's the reason why plant foldies, especially if you're a local plant foldie, please make sure you are subscribed to my channel, because if you want to know what's going on with all of these grocery store, big box stores, the fact that I am doing daily plant shopping videos again with brand new content, you'll get that. Like, I just wanted to announce, we talked about these variegated Phalaenopsis orchids. Well, guess what? Here is a variegated Phalaenopsis orchid, and this is only for $9.99. I really like that. I've got a larger version of this, but I may end up getting another one just because for me, the Phalaenopsis orchid, once it's not blooming, it doesn't really have a lot of interest, but that variegation, that edge on that leaf is actually a really nice looking touch. So even if it's not in bloom, it still has some interest, and there are 4 of them available to purchase at this location. $9.99 for a variegated Phalaenopsis orchid is a really good deal. So I would suggest checking this out. Again, this is the Kroger off of Custer Road, off of Custer and El Dorado. So if you are a local plant foldy, definitely check that out. But look at how beautiful that variegation is. Now, plant foldies, I am curious to see, what do you think of the variegation? What do you think about this actual orchid? I think it's stunning. I have one and it's actually pretty easy to take care of. I might end up buying one again just to have a smaller variety, just because I do like that variegation for it. So I'd like to know in the comments, so plant foldies, what you think about that variegated orchid, and in some of the plants that you've seen so far in this video. This is that one section where they do have a lot of different types of plants. What I can say is, if you are able to find urban jungle hanging baskets at Kroger, you will save a ton. This full basket of Philodendron Hederaceum Brazil is only $12.99. Typically at a big box store, you would find it for like $20 and like 48 cents, maybe $19 if you buy it at Walmart, but $12.99 is a steal. That is fabulous. I'm still trying to understand how they're able to sell urban jungle hanging baskets. I've noticed that urban jungle hanging baskets only show up at grocery stores. I've seen them at definitely Kroger, but also Sprouts grocery store. You can see over here, we've got some type of fern in a hanging basket, and that again is only for $12.99. So all of these hanging baskets, I've bought a Philodendron Brazil at 1.2 in a hanging basket. You can see right here, they've got another Philodendron Brazil. Really like that as well. And that's only for $12.99. So really good price. I would recommend that for anybody that's really into philodendrons, especially the trailing ones like this. I do think that that is a classic plant. I have one. I would probably add one. And, I thought about purchasing that as well. But, I feel like Kroger will always get restocks. And check this out, for $12.99 you can get a 5-inch plant, or $13.99, just a Hoya carrii that's not variegated. Love the look of it, just because I feel like these, or I just think that the leaves look so cute. That heart-shaped leaf is adorable. They've got different varieties of Hoya carrii. They've got the variegated form, and they also have the reverse variegation. So that one has more like a green on green type variegation, but even just the green one is nice. And then over here you can see that we've got a miniature crassula or jade plant. That one is also for $13.99. I like jade plants. They remind me of my childhood. My grandmother, who pretty much has gotten me into plants in general, she used to just grow them, and look at how perfect this Calathea rospicta is. I hope that somebody will buy this Calathea. I will not be buying this Calathea because, again, I think Calatheas are the biggest heartbreakers ever. Like, they look so beautiful and perfect, but then even if you give them the care that they necessarily need, they just tend to disappoint me because they end up just dying on me, and it's just sad. So that's the reason why, like, there's certain plants that I am just not going to put in my plant collection anymore, and that would be like Calatheas. I can admire them whenever I'm in a big box store or a grocery store when I'm filming. I mean, I'm pretty much in one every day for all of our plant foldy community, so that's just one plant I'm not going to add. And then, like, plant foldies, it looks like they are starting to reduce the philodendron. So the Philodendron squamiferum are only for $14.99. They're originally $19.99. I'm glad I held off from purchasing them when I first saw them about a month ago. You can see that there was just too many that this particular Kroger got. And I don't know if they just got the wholesale from that particular grower, but you can see that they're not necessarily moving, and my fear is that these plants will end up getting composted or thrown in the trash. These are some amazing looking philodendron. You can see that they have just become more readily available. I would say a couple years back, Philodendron squamiferum was definitely an uncommon philodendron. I love the fuzzy petioles and the stems on them. I think it's a really nice touch. And the thing about Philodendron squamiferum is this is a philodendron that likes to climb. So if you put it on like a moss pole or some type of support, it will definitely get more mature looking leaves. It'll definitely get larger leaves. So that's just, you know, my tip. But I think that's $14.99. And I do think that the philodendron snowdrift is also going to be on sale for $14.99. You can see right here we've got another Dracaena. This one is for $14.99. I think that's a little bit pricey because if you go to like Walmart, you can buy one for like $9.99. So that, again, it just really compare and contrast. Now, I wouldn't deter you from buying a plant just because of the price. Sometimes I buy plants, and even though I know that I can probably get it at a better deal, sometimes the plant quality is all it is that would really sell me to spend a little bit more. I mean, this right here, for instance, is Hydra Helix for $9.99. Like, I want to purchase this. This is the Gold Baby Hydra Helix or Hedera Helix. I love the variegation on English ivy. I feel like there's so many different varieties of variegated English ivy. Like, you could literally collect them all. And then over here, we've got a Ficus Elastica Burgundy for $13.99. I do think that the rubber trees or ficus plants that are available at Kroger are a little bit priced at a higher price. And then you can see right here though, for a 6-inch planter of golden pothos, $9.99 is not a bad price at all. That's actually a pretty inexpensive price. I have found these also on sale. I ended up buying like a neon pothos on clearance for $3. So that's the thing about grocery stores. I'm glad that I live within that same realm of this, you know, close proximity of this actual Kroger, so I can always check for reduced pricing. But all of the plants that you see at a grocery store are treated just like fresh produce. When they're not as fresh, they reduce them in order for them to move. But you definitely will not see as many like unhealthy plants at a grocery store, just because they treat their plants as if they were produce as well. Like, look at how beautiful this philodendron snowdrift is. I'm hoping that people will buy these philodendron snowdrifts, or they would substantially like reduce the price. I would end up buying them, so therefore I could end up like giving them as like plant giveaways on my Instagram. So, you know, I will be doing some more plant Instagram giveaways. I don't know, Plant Foldies, if you have an Instagram. I'm going to assume that the majority of Plant Foldies don't, but I use Instagram a lot. That is the fastest way to get in touch with me. So if you don't have an Instagram, Plant Foldies, consider making one, at least so you can connect with each other on Instagram. But you can see here, beautiful watermelon peperomia. I've always loved the watermelon peperomia. I feel like the watermelon peperomia is an easy to care for peperomia. Peperomias in general are pretty easy. Now this is a Croton Petra as well. I believe this one is for $19.99. That is a little bit pricey. So like with Kroger, it's really hit or miss on some of the pricing. Some of the pricing is fabulous. Some of the plant pricing though is not fabulous. But you can see for the most part, they have quite a bit of plants. So Plant Foldies, I hope you enjoyed tonight's video. Hopefully you were able to find some really nice looking plants. Please make sure you hit the like button for this video, and as well as subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is Richie at Grow Folds. I'll see you tomorrow on the next one. Bye.